Time travel can be confusing. It can be even more confusing when you see it in a recent movie and then they kind of brush over certain ideas and then you leave the cinema and you're like, but what about this particular thing? How does that actually work?
Time travel in real life, I imagine, would also be quite complicated. But let's talk about the movie
Is
stuff
that why
first.
it's illegal?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually, yeah. We're talking about Avengers Endgame. Spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big word here that says spoilers.
Spoilers.
Some people miss it sometimes.
So if you can't hear, you can see it.
Yeah.
And if you can't see it, we've said spoilers.
That's right.
For the movie Endgame, specifically.
Yes.
Avengers Endgame.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is the line that the Hulk says to kind of define this version of the MCU time travel. Just to kick things off.
I'm ready.
If you travel back to your own past, that destination becomes your future, and your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future.
Okay, right. Gotcha.
Which essentially means you can't change your past because if you went back to change your past, you would alter it in a way which would mean you would never have to go back to your past in the first place.
Okay. So if you went back in time and you killed your past self,
Yes.
you'd still be fine.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't make any difference.
But the reason that it doesn't happen like that is because it seems to me, and there are many theories on this,
Yes.
that this is a multiverse situation.
Yes.
And not a one linear timeline situation.
Right, okay, sure.
So, for example, Nebula kills the past version of Nebula. Mm-hmm. The regular version of Nebula, though, is still alive.
Yes.
The good one.
Mm-hmm.
Thanos is murdered, the 2014 version, but the snap still happened.
Yes.
That still occurs. Gamora is taken through time and brought back to the regular universe.
Yes.
And she's just alive again. Right?
Correct, yes.
That implies that they're borrowing people from slightly different parallel realities.
Correct, yes.
So that is
Or
not...
maybe even creating them?
Yeah, or creating them as they go. And the reason that could also be the case is because Tilda Swinton says, once you pull a stone out of a timeline, that will create a diverging
A
stream.
branching stream, yes.
For good or ill.
But
But essentially...
the line was black, so we're going to assume it was ill.
That's right.
But not ill in a good way.
No.
There's no license to ill.
No, that's really not. I'm still not sure, though, whether it's just that thing that changes the past dramatically, or creates an alternative timeline, I should say, dramatically, or it's little things. Like Captain America meeting himself. Does that create a branching timeline? Does it have to be stone related, is what I'm saying.
That's a really good question. I feel in this instance it had to be mostly stone related.
Yes.
I think anything that is on like a personal level doesn't seem to change that much.
No.
Like I imagine that Captain America encounters weird stuff every day.
Yep.
And a dude who's dressed like him...
Batroc the Leaper. That guy was doing a flip.
Exactly.
You couldn't believe it.
Exactly. Like, and who's to say this isn't Batroc the Leaper again doing a flip? It's just another dude he has to fight.
Yeah.
So I think in the grand scheme of his life, that's not going to affect his thought process
Yes.
that much to alter his behavior enough to alter that reality.
Yes.
I think he's just like, well, this is probably Loki or one of Loki's friends. He's put on my face. I'm going to fight him.
Yeah.
I've fought him. Now I'll continue along with my daily life.
Absolutely. This version of time travel, though, again, it's not strictly time travel, it's dimensional.
Yes.
Means that you can actually bring back anybody with a time machine.
Yeah.
It's not the same character, necessarily.
Yeah, huh.
Let's say the main universe is called 616, which is what it is in the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically stepping into a slightly different version of that. So if you go and grab Black Widow through time,
Yes.
which you can,
Yep.
you are taking a version of Black Widow from a different reality to bring her back.
Yes.
You could still do it, though. You could bring her back. You could grab Tony Stark from the past and bring him back, which happened in the comics.
Yeah,
you
right.
could grab 50 Captain Americas
Yeah.
and bring them into the
And
one
50
dimension.
Hitlers and make them fight.
Or kiss.
Yes.
But fight. And that's the thing, though. You don't need an infinity gauntlet to do that. This movie ends with time travel being an established thing in this universe that can be used if you have the technology.
Yeah, right, uh-huh.
Because after the gauntlet is used and then the stones are taken back to the timelines, then they still use it. They use it to drop Captain America in the past. But here's the thing. That timeline that they visited,
Yes.
they wouldn't have necessarily created timelines that are that different because they put the stones back.
Yeah, right, uh-huh.
There is an exception to that.
Oh, here we go.
And that is Loki.
Yes.
Because he grabs one and bails.
He disappears, yeah. He grabs the space stone
Yes.
and spaces out of there.
Captain America would have had to grab him and stop that from happening. Loki's kind of the wild card in this situation. I think this is going to probably lead into his Disney Plus series.
Yes.
So there's a few possibilities for what could happen. But he could have been caught immediately by Thor or somebody
Or
else.
Hulk, maybe, yeah.
Or Thanos.
Yeah.
And
That's assuming he teleported from the inside of the building to directly outside the building to maybe catch a cab or something.
Yeah, that's right. So it's very possible that his fate ended up the same and Thanos ended up murdering him regardless.
Yeah, right.
But it's also possible that this version of Loki is the one we're going to see in the new TV series.
Yeah, right.
And
still quite evil.
That's
Although free of the influence of the scepter, so
That's
maybe
right,
not as
exactly.
evil. Maybe alive, not
Yep.
as evil and regretful.
So maybe he's a time-hopping, dimensional-hopping version of Loki, because apparently that's what that show is about. He's influencing events throughout history. It could be a Loki prequel about his life up to that point, because he has been alive for thousands of years.
Years.
Or it could be a modern version of Loki just fucking with people through time. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or he has a food truck.
Or he's got a food truck.
As every show I want to happen, he's just got a food truck and he's just going from town to town, solving mysteries and giving out
Cooking a
Cubano
brisket.
Sandwiches. Exactly, that's right. Just a quick heads up.
Yep.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe is Earth 199,999.
It does have a
We're going to
name.
get emails.
Oh, good. Well, please continue to send your emails. That's
Okay,
fine.
good, yep.
I would love to hear it. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, there's an interesting kind of wrinkle with the Steve Rogers situation. And I'm not just talking about him getting bloody old, mate. Thank you. Didn't pre-write that.
It shows
You don't-
that you didn't write it ahead of time.
So I think it's a possibility. I'm not the only one that's posited this.
Yes.
That Steve Rogers going to the past to live with Peggy Carter creates another diverging timeline.
Maybe.
Maybe. Let's say that it does, though. Because he steals Peggy Carter away from the man she was supposed to marry. Unless that was always supposed to happen.
Sure.
We can get into that, sure. And then he lives his life, and Captain America is a public figure that lives up to the modern day. He gets to an age where he's very old, and then using the suit, he jumps back to the regular reality to hand over his shield and say goodbye to the people from the universe that he is from.
Right, okay.
He can do that
Yes.
because you don't need the time platform to jump through time. We see that because they jump from 2012 to 1970 in the movie.
That's true, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's possible that he just held on to some Pym particles, wait till he got old, jumped over, said goodbye to his friends, lived out the rest of his days there because Peggy's already passed away.
Okay.
So
all
that
right.
Captain America could have lived in a alternate universe for that entire time.
For everybody at home, James has had crackpot eyes on this whole time while he's explaining this theory. And look, it's a good theory, but I don't think it's the correct theory.
What do you think it is?
I think there's a much simpler explanation. It's that in The Winter Soldier, we see a recording of Peggy Carter, and she says that the man she married, her husband, is a man that Captain America rescued from behind enemy lines during World War II. Now, I think that man actually is Captain America.
Yes.
I think he just went back in time, presumably, I would say, after the events of Agent Carter.
Yes.
And just met up with her again and said, hey, I'm back, time travel. What do you think about that? And then when people asked, and who is this guy and why does he know so much about Captain America and World War II? He could have just said, Captain America rescued me from behind enemy lines during World War II.
And I stole his face.
Yeah, and stole his face, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, that could
Yeah.
very well be true. But here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
He would still have to be from an alternate reality. So it still would have been a branching timeline
I don't think
that
it
he would
is,
have been
though.
sitting in.
I don't know. I think it's just...
Because when you go back in time, it's not actually your past.
Yes.
It's a different reality.
Oh, I see. Okay. I think it's the same reality. In going back, if he goes back in time and he doesn't affect anything on a too major scale, he doesn't change. That reality doesn't branch off.
Yes.
I think because he's just gone back in time and seems to be living a completely suburban life.
Yeah.
And he hasn't affected anything. And also the fact that Peggy Carter later gets Alzheimer's and doesn't remember anything.
Yes.
That he can
can
just,
wave that all
if he just
away.
lives that life
Yep.
and he doesn't make too much trouble, he keeps
Yep.
his head down, I think it's the same reality.
Look, it's confusing. I'd love to hear people's theories about what they think is actually going on here.
Yeah.
Maybe explain some of the perceived plot holes or elements that are kind of left undone, like the return of Loki. Can you bring back Tony Stark?
Should you bring
Should you bring
Tony
back
Stark?
Tony Stark? What creates a diverging timeline and
Yeah.
what doesn't? All of these things, I'd really love to hear people's thoughts.
Yes.
But I think it's basically a multiverse situation where
I think it is. I think it is. I think it absolutely is a multiverse situation. But in this instance, you just live your life.
You get your wife.
You live your life, you get your wife. Exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Also, just to clarify, people have asked about what's going on in Spider-Man Homecoming because it's set in 2023. Why is Ned Leeds still at school?
Yep.
Two possibilities. One, he's a complete dumbass. And two, he was also in the Snap. And that school year is made up of people who were snapped in 2018 and also people who grew up to be that age in 2023.
Correct, yes.
So it's a school of bloody two different generations.
Are they going to address that? Probably with one line.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Or maybe like a video, Captain America PSA video.
Yeah, someone will be like, "You still play Fortnite?"
Yeah,
And they'll
right,
be like,
exactly.
Yeah, even though I'm from a different. I was in the Snap and
Snap and you
know,
there's
whatever.
time
Yeah.
travel. Yep. Ooh, yep. Hey, look, it's Mysterio. He's got a fishbowl on his head.
That's right. So, look, we have a podcast called The Weekly Planet where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. We recently did a spoiler-heavy episode on Captain America. That is linked below. If you want to... Not Captain America, but it is on Captain America. It's
Yeah, he's
on,
definitely
it's
in
on
there.
Endgame.
Avengers Endgame,
We go through a bunch of this stuff and theories in the future. There's also going to be videos on this channel that you can subscribe for, which will be coming up about this movie, explaining things, ideas for the future of the franchise, all those kinds of things. And there's also an Easter egg video and a video on the post-credits. There's so many things that you can catch up on.
Yes.
So basically, subscribe on a podcast if you want. But
Yeah.
in summary, I'm at Mr. Sunday Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Wikipedia Brown on Twitter.
Thank you for watching, and
We'll see you in the future.
we're going
To steal your wife. Grab that gem, you guys. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.